evening. Welcome to Motor Mouth, brought to you by the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles. I'm Kendra.
I'm Dan.
And normally we start in the diner.
Yep.
But tonight we're starting by this beautiful Middleby car, which was built in Reading, Pennsylvania. But before we get to that a little bit, just a few announcements. First, and probably most importantly, I'm sure Dan will agree, is our next diner day is this month. It's April 11th.
Yep.
And that's a Saturday from 10 to 1. So come on out to the diner, and with your regular admission, you can sit in the diner and enjoy pie and coffee at 1938 prices.
And the pie is not from 1938, but it is homemade, right?
It is not from 1938,
No.
correct. And
So it's a lot better than that.
yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't charge you a quarter for that. But yeah, a quarter for the pie and a nickel for the coffee. And if you're unlucky enough, I'll be your waitress.
Okay. Oh, there's the waitress connection we were talking about
Yes,
earlier.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then that's our big event here in April. In May, on our third Saturday of the month, which is May 16th, we're going to be having a cruise-in our parking lot, which is kind of catty corner from the museum here on Walnut Street. Nice big parking lot, lots of room. It's going to be 60s style. We'll feature 60s cars. We'll have 60s music playing. But by no means do you have to drive a 1960s car to get in. Any year, make is welcome. So we hope to see you all then with your beautiful cars. Please come out. And then the next big event, I know this is a little bit, but we're going to start talking about it on June 20th, which is, again, the third Saturday. We're going to have our first ever food truck fair, also in our parking lot. It's called the Truck Stops Here, Mobile Madness. So come on out. I think we have 8 different food trucks, including a Mr. Softy truck, still using a Boyertown Body Works body.
Okay.
And
I didn't hear about that
yeah,
one.
that's new.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a new one. That's a
right.
new
I'm off the
update.
committee, so. Okay.
You are off the committee now, Dan. And the other really exciting truck, we're really excited to have them, is a 1961 Boyertown-built mobile canteen, which was used by the Maine Civil Defense. And it's actually still operating, believe it or not for the Civil Defense anymore. It's owned by a woman who has a restaurant that specializes in, well, they're in Maine, lobster and
Right.
lobster rolls. So they'll be here.
Coming from Maine.
Yeah.
So you can come, a mile or two, wherever you live, to here, if they're coming from Maine.
Yeah, and
Right.
get lobster rolls.
Yeah.
So I'll be at that truck if you need to find me that day.
Okay.
So we're really excited about it. And also in the lobby at the same time, we're going to have an exhibit about the food trucks that they built here. I just mentioned 2, but they built a lot more here as well. So we're going to have a little thing on the history of food trucks. So that's June 20th. And that's all I'll crowd you with today. I
Okay.
guess we'll move on to the show now.
We can move on with the show.
That's right.
Yep.
And like I said earlier, we're here by the, 1909
Right.
Middleby. Again, this was built in Reading, Pennsylvania. And if you look, you're going to notice some of the brass is nice and shiny, and some of it's looking a little dull.
Yep. I look at the hubcaps that are nice and
Yes,
shiny.
the hubcaps are beautiful.
You look at these cow lamps. One of them, the one towards my left here, is nice. This one's halfway there. So.
And, there's a lot of brass on just this one car, and it's actually not even the worst of the cars. We have some with worse brass that you got to attack.
We do.
But this brings to mind something that we deal with all the time here, and that is keeping the stuff clean and looking polished and nice as we can get a 100-year-old plus car
Right.
to look. And the brass is something that we struggle with. Dan knows the struggle with the brass very well.
Yes. Yes.
You used to be our head polisher.
Yes, the head
You
polisher.
got
Yeah.
demoted.
Yeah.
You're off the food truck committee, and now you're not even the head polisher
yeah.
anymore.
But I'm on a TV, though.
There, that's what you got. That was your
So.
consolation prize. But we have a great volunteer. He's with us tonight. He has worked on a lot of these cars, and if you come in here to the museum, especially, we call it the Philadelphia row, and it's kind of off to that end, and it's off camera. But he's really worked hard on those cars, and they look great. And he's now moved into what we call the Reading row, or row
Okay.
of Reading-built cars. So actually what we're going to do, we're going to talk a little bit about how we go about polishing this brass. We'll do that in just a little bit. But Matt's here tonight. He's going to polish a piece of this while we're filming, and then we'll come back at the end, and hopefully you can see the big difference that this makes. So what we're going to do is take off the bottom part of the acetylene tank.
If I can do this without putting it on the floor.
Wait for the loud crash, everybody. Oh, oh.
It's almost there, it's almost there.
If we can remove a piece of brass from the car to polish it, we will. That was your cue.
Yeah. How about if we cut here? Why can't I get that on?
But in any case, we'll take it off the car if we can.
Okay.
And that, just so we don't get polish on wood, paint, it's just easier too. As you can see, it's hard to get in and around some of this.
Okay.
This is a pretty smooth piece.
Yeah, this is nice and smooth. It's just basically a can here. And we picked this because you can move a lot quicker on this than you can a very intricate lamp like that. So
I know now it's time for me to see if I can do this. On this lamp, for instance, there's so much to do on these cars. Now look, see, it's my turn for not being able to open something. But even if you look in all the edges and all the creases and stuff, you'll see there's like a sometimes white, sometimes green buildup. That's basically old polish, excess polish that didn't get wiped away. So that's another step, usually the first step you do when we work on this brass. So we brought some of the products that we use. We have them set up in the diner. So I think we're going to head back over there, and Matt can start.
polishing.
Poor Matt.
So, okay.
All right, well, we've got Matt polishing away over there. And at the end, like we said, we'll put it back with the rest of the acetylene tank, and we'll see how they compare. And here we've got some of the products that we use on this stuff. Now, this is a big task, polishing brass. And I should note, Matt is a great volunteer. We're always looking for more volunteers. Matt would love to have a buddy help him polish brass, I'm sure. So if any of you watching at home are interested in volunteering, we won't make you polish brass if you don't want to do that. We have lots of things here to do. Give the museum a call, 610-367-2090, and we'll find a job that fits your interests and your talents. Trust us. So, before Matt started polishing the brass, I know, Dan, you worked on it a lot.
A lot.
And I recall, I think it seemed like a month that you and I worked on the SGV's brass.
Yes, that's right.
That was rough. I mean, great company, but
Yeah.
that was a lot of work. There's a lot of brass on some of these cars. And I know when you and I worked, we used a lot of the AutoSol. And you actually introduced me to this. And then I went on the Henry Ford's website to see their recommendations for cleaning brass, and they actually recommended that too, so, which is pretty neat.
Yes.
We were already using that. So, but you can't just jump in and start polishing. There's a lot of stuff you need. I know Matt also uses this. This is the Barkeeper's Friend. I'm not going to pronounce any of this right. Wenol?
Sure.
Sure, who knows?
Yeah.
And then this is the Simichrome, right? I know he likes to use, and they are great. We use the microfiber claws a lot. and we go through a lot of those because there's a lot of dirt on this brass, and they get dirty pretty quickly. And smaller tools, all those cracks and crevices, things like brushes, toothbrush even, these lovely Q-tip type things. So there's a lot of gunk on this stuff, and it's in such tiny areas. So the best thing, really is to start out and making sure the area is as clean as you can get it, because, and I know you've seen this, the dirt particles get in the polish and you're just taking out more dirt. So you want to try to prevent that as best you can. Matt's great because he thinks about what he's wearing and making sure the buttons don't scratch, or rings, zippers. He has a great work coat on, and he even showed me tonight it has the covered placket for the buttons, so you don't even get button scratches. I know we have a car that I think was scratched quite a bit by someone's zipper in the past. Oh no, your eyes got wide about this. Not you, it wasn't you.
Oh.
Someone who's no longer here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, I mean, even,
Ooh. No.
I'll tell you after the show. I don't want to get sued for slander.
No.
But it's so easy to, when you're brushing up against this stuff or leaning over, if you're not thinking about it, zipper, buttons, all that stuff, it's easy to scratch this stuff. And we're talking about, in some cases, 100-year-old paint. I mean,
Right.
we want to try to keep it as nice as
And
possible.
one of the things Matt does is if there's a section of a car he doesn't want to get polish on or whatever, again, protecting the paint. This isn't really scratching, but actually to get some of the polish on that paint might not be good. And so, you tape up the edges, kind of, So.
Like you were painting a room, where you're doing the trim or something, the same kind of idea. To not get paint on the wall if you're trying to do the trim. And even your handprints, there's lots of oils on our hands. Matt is wearing gloves. I know the red SGV in particular, I know we messed with that radiator because there is, when someone would lean over to crank it and they'd put the other hand
on top of it,
top of the radiator, and there is this nice big palm print right there in the top. And you know what? I don't think it's ever really gone away.
No. I kind of look at it as like, isn't there a handprint like in the jail up in Jim Thorpe?
Yes.
So,
Yes, the Molly Maguires left a handprint up there.
Well, they also left one on our SGV.
They did.
So.
That's good. I like that.
Yep.
I'm going to use that in my tour.
Yeah, but I personally tried to get that handprint off and polish, and it just wouldn't go off. So
yeah, and you can actually polish too much, because you kind of are microscopically wearing away at edges.
Right.
So you don't want to do this all the time. And actually, we did try, again, from the Henry Ford, they suggested using this, which is called Renaissance Wax. And basically they said after you're done polishing, rub this over top of it. Because what happens is the brass is going to turn eventually.
Right.
It's going to tarnish again. And in here, it did it very, very quickly. So we wanted to prevent that. So we put this actually on the SGV. This is almost gone. There's not much left in here. It's just this white. It goes on clear. And it was developed by the British Museum. So, no slouches made this thing. It didn't work, though, in here. That SGV brass turned almost immediately. Like almost within a week, you could start seeing it come back. Now, that was before we had heating and air in the museum. So maybe with the temperature, because temperature differences will turn it too quicker. With not so drastic, maybe this would work again. I don't know. It's probably worth another shot. We might have to try it again. But let's see. As far as these different polishes, I know, if you're, like anything, if you're trying something for the first time, we try to find an inconspicuous spot first to try it out. Because again, this is 100-year-old brass. We don't want to ruin it. And it's really nice stuff too. I mean, the craftsmanship on it is really nice. Always try to keep the work cloth clean. It's going to get black and gunky and green really fast. So keep trying to use clean areas of the cloth. Don't polish with a dirty cloth, basically. And I know Matt takes them home and washes them every time because he's just a really awesome volunteer like that. So, but I know he usually pre-soaks them. We use a lot of Simple Green around here to kind of pre-soak and get some of that gunk out and then wash. And you know, sometimes you do have to polish several times because it doesn't look good the first time you do
Right.
it. It can be very disheartening. Especially some of that stuff I know. I think it was the auto car that you had done before. The brass was really pitted, or is that the one?
Yes, you're correct.
And it didn't shine like you think it should shine because I guess why would it do that? It's not as high quality, or
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not a
I don't know
metallurgist.
either.
I'm thinking could have been in a fire.
Yeah,
I don't know.
who knows?
Could have just been exposed a long time without protection.
yeah.
So
So you know, sometimes it's really tedious job, and it can get really frustrating.
one nice thing I've noticed with this museum, we used to have the motion detector lights. So you'd be polishing, and if you didn't move, make a lot of
Yeah, a
motion,
big motion.
they would shut off, and your polishing, that was a pain.
That was awful.
That was kind of discouraging.
That
so,
was awful. We changed that now.
Yeah, we did that for Matt.
Yeah, just so he'd come back.
Yeah.
He wouldn't get frustrated. And you know, it is a big job because even as you saw on that middle B, the cowl lamps were done and the hubcaps, but not the horn and not the radiator. When you do one part of it, the rest of it looks about
Right.
10 times worse than it actually
Right.
does. So you kind of have to be willing to go into it for the long haul. And you know, somebody asked while we were moving from out there to in here a good question about, you know, what about leaving the brass as is? You know, because we do hear about that, you know, conserve over restore. I'd say this is more of a cleaning thing, but I know you have to tune in next month.
Right.
Because that's going to be, we're going to talk about that a lot next month.
And
We'll-
the vehicles that we polish have already been restored, and we just kind of want to, we'll say, keep everything at the same level. So
yeah.
we have
and
some
even, yeah.
we have some vehicles here. We just keep, they're preserved as being old with the patina and stuff, and we like to keep them that way. So.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely tune in next month because we're gonna talk about that a little more.
Yep.
We have a great car here to look at too, as an example. But and also because before a lot of this is influenced by temperature and climate. So that is kind of something you could say that we're doing to the brass.
Right.
So we should fix it, if that makes sense. It's something that actively is happening while it's sitting here in a museum. And like I said, now that we've got the temperature at least under control a little better, hopefully the stuff that Matt's working on won't turn so quickly as it used to.
Right.
We hope for his sake.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a little bit of what we do, and I think that's a good summary, basically, of our brass and how we clean it.
Yep.
And I know you have some more things. Are we going to stay at this table? Should
We can stay at this table,
Okay.
but we're going to take a short break so we can clean all this stuff off the table.
Oh,
So I
excellent.
got room to throw things
We have more
around.
stuff to put on the
More
table.
stuff, yeah. Okay. Okay, we've talked about polishing brass, and in general, we clean the cars here, and as usual, I have found a bunch of old cleaning products, most of it from 1917. I don't know why 1917 is a popular year with this stuff, but most of it's from that. But give or take a few other years there, and I came across some interesting stuff that was used to clean cars, and they had all sorts of products. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is the Shino Chemical Mitten Duster, made by Pioneer Manufacturing Company out of Cleveland, Ohio. It was sold in the teens and the 20s. The Shino mitten duster is intended for use in dusting and polishing furniture, woodwork, picture frames, molding corner, and etc. Its adaptability to use in out-of-the-way places and corners is especially emphasized. It is also adapted to the use of automobile owners for cleaning upholstery, woodwork, and for polishing thin surfaces after dust has been removed. So there you go. We need a Shino chemical mitten duster.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, and its distinguishing feature is it's treated by some exclusive and secret chemical process which gives great dust absorbing properties. So it's recommended by the manufacturer to use pretty much everywhere. So
I feel
that's
like they
it.
make something like that today, don't
Yeah,
they?
they do. I've seen mitten type
Yeah.
dusters. And in fact, California duster seems very similar to that, but it's not a mitten. It's, has a
I
handle
think
to
we
it.
have one at home by McGuire's, I think,
Okay,
actually.
well, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
They have all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff. Also, there's the Stevens Auto Cleaner. This is from 1913, actually. It says, saves hands and clothing and prolongs life of costly machinery by instantly moving grease, grit, and dirt. After using this cleaner, adjustment of the automobile is a pleasure. It can be used by all sorts of people. And again, that's a cleaner, and I'm not sure what it does. I looked at the advertisement, and I'm looking at a little kind of faded picture, and shows some sort of a cylinder and has a guy on a trigger on the back of it. So I don't know, maybe it just squirts cleaning fluid on a vehicle and then you wipe it off. It doesn't really tell you. So anyway, that's Stevens Auto Cleaner, in case you're taking notes out there. Okay, now I went online and found this, and I'm not going to mention the brand name here, but they say, this is a current brand name out there, for more than 20 years, the such and such product line has shaped the waterless car care industry. Ever since this product was introduced as the first waterless car wash product on the market, our mission has continued to develop the industry into what it is today. So they're talking 20 years ago, they developed it. More than 20 years. I found stuff older than that, okay? And
I'd expect nothing less.
no, you
Dan.
don't. Okay, and it's interesting. What I just read, this advertisement, I got offline here, and it's talking about different reasons why you should use their product, and the biggest reason was the water crisis. Okay, California, they're talking about. Water Map reveals 80% of the world faces scarcity risk with water. And it's talking about this and that, and it's, Great Lakes water levels drop, so that's why we should use waterless car cleaner, because we're going to use all the water up in the Great Lakes. So anyway, what I found is called ZIT, the Automobile Dry Wash. ZIT, Z-I-T, you heard that right. Says clean up on sales of this liquid sunlight. You're looking at an advertisement there on your screen. ZIT takes off everything except the very heavy coating of mud and leaves a hard, dry finish that makes the car shine as if it had been dipped in the fountain of youth. How do you like that? That's 1917 advertising. Also, it says ZIT is the heavy artillery of motordom. So that's kind of interesting too. This is interesting.
I have
Yeah.
to say that I don't think any cleaning product should be named ZIT.
No. Maybe back in 1917 it
That
meant
doesn't
something
inspire
different. No.
confidence in me.
So then I had another one here. This is called Peerless. Peerless Automobile Specialties, made by Columbus Varnish Company out of Columbus, Ohio. And they had all sorts of products. You're looking at another advertisement there on your screen about the Peerless top dressing. Makes old tops look like new, made for black and colored mohair and leather tops. Top dressing will bring back the original luster, waterproof, remove stains. Remove stains. I know of a car out there that could use this.
Yeah.
And protects the top for seasons of hard, dusty driving. Some of the other products they had was cushion dressing, lamp enamel gloss, and lamp enamel dull. Jet black fender Japan, which you would use on the fenders, of course. Ford top, help me here. Ford top dressing. So I guess the
dressing.
top on a Ford was different than other cars. I don't know.
Well,
What are some other
Biggest
things
keeper.
here? Yeah, different colors or different types of paint, lining, dye, liquid wax. So they had all sorts of stuff, and that's Peerless. We had another company here called Wonder Workers Specialties out of the Hall Thompson Company in Hartford, Connecticut. They had all kinds of products. They had a jet lac, which was a black enamel. They had metal polish. They had liquid rubber, tire, and matte paint. A special rubber compound for preserving rubber and matting. Protects rubber from action of oil, grease, water, and weather changes. Auto gloss, which was kind of a wax type thing. They had a polishing rag you could get. They even had hand soap in case your hands got dirty. So that was Wonder Worker. Going to take a brief pause from our advertising here, and I got an actual can of Simonize here. I look at the picture on that, and it looks like a car from the mid to late 30s on there. So that kind of dates this. So Simonize has been around a long time. 1910 is when it was actually formulated out of Chicago, made possible by a guy named George Simons, who developed the cleaner and Carnauba wax product for car finishes. It's still around now. They have other products. They've gone through changes where they were bought out by bigger companies and so on and so forth. But the coolest Simonize factoid I have for you.
Ooh.
Oh, this is cooler. This is even cooler than cars.
Oh, man.
Okay, a 1960s Simonize television advertisement featured the Three Stooges. So there we go.
That's perfect.
That's perfect. Okay, another product we have here.
You know, I'm looking on the
yes.
side here.
Yes.
It lists what this is all for. You're supposed to use this for a lot of stuff. Automobiles, furniture, woodwork, linoleum, metal signs and cabinets, boats, shoes, leather goods, marble, chromium, and nickel. Clean the whole house with this.
We could, with just one
You
can
could
of...
clean the whole diner with this.
We could.
Well, you
somebody
were
else.
not
Yeah. We'll find a volunteer to do that.
Right.
Okay. Then,
Matt says, don't look at him.
okay. Then we have here, now if you remember last month, okay, we had, we were talking about our new SGV. And we had somebody from the museum presenting it to the audience. And his name's Bob Dare. Well, he found this can of Dare Auto Polish at a flea market. And so he bought it. Bob has
He bought
an
a couple
interesting
cans,
collection.
I
Oh, he
hear.
did? Okay.
Like 6.
And so since he couldn't be on the show tonight, this is his representative right
Yes.
here, okay? So Bob.
Hi, Bob.
There you go, yeah. Hi, Kendra. So this is interesting, and I tried finding something about this online, couldn't find a thing. So this is pretty unique here. And made by National Chemical Engineering Company out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Ohio really liked their car
Yeah.
cleaning products, didn't
You know, Bob Hope was from Cleveland.
Was he?
Yeah. So anyway, that's okay. Our next product here is called Pimbley's Auto Newer.
That's a great name.
Pimbley.
Pimbley.
Yeah. Give your car a rub down with Pimbley's Auto Newer. You're looking at an advertisement there. It shows the lady there helping by just holding the container of Pimbley's.
Oh.
And the guy is struggling.
That's big
doing
of her.
Yeah,
to do that.
and he's polishing the door there. It says not a paint, but a black liquid compound used with a brush that tones up the top. Oh, that's Pimbley's Auto Top Newer, excuse me. But they made that too. Let me find something. Let's see. Cleans and news any exterior finish. That's an interesting word, that news. In other words, makes it look new. Brings back to life the dead-looking car and keeps the new car looking spick and span. Get this wonderful liquid at your garage, hardware, drug, or auto supply. You can buy this stuff at your drugstore. So I think a drugstore sold a little bit of everything. Is on the market for over 25 years. Again, we're talking 1917. It used to be called Pimbley's Carriage Varnish Renewer. So it goes back to prior to automobiles. Been on the market for over a quarter century. Preparation's the same, but uses are widened to almost into almost all exterior woodwork. So it's very simple to use. So I started talking a moment ago about the Pimbly Auto Top Newer. That's not a paint, but a black liquid compound used with a brush. Tones up the top. Fine with seats, cushions, leather trimmings, trunks, and suitcases. Okay, and they also had another product called the Pimbly's Piano Newer. So if you wanted to sparkle up your piano, there you go. And so it's kind of interesting. It was also interesting to see you could buy it at your drugstore. I don't think you could do that today. So next product here is called Miro-Like Auto Polish by the Miro-Like Manufacturing Company in Long Island City, New York. I'm going to read this whole advertisement here, and you're probably looking at that on your TV too, and it shows a car there, and it has a couple of these little baby girls that look like they don't have any clothes on, but they got these bows in appropriate places, but they're shining this car. Miro-Like cleans and polishes with astonishing ease, preserving the finish of your car, making dust and grease disappear like magic, producing a brilliant, dry, lasting luster. Use it on the body of car from bumper to tail lamp. Leather cushions, top, interior woodwork. Applied to windshields, it keeps them clear in damp weather. Remember that one. Okay. The largest automobile manufacturers in the United States have acknowledged that Miro-Like is the most remarkable creation in the history of polishes.
Oh.
By golly.
We'll have to order some.
Yes. The New York showrooms of the best motor cars cause Miro-Like to keep the finish of the show cars permanently beautiful. So that's Miro-Like. Okay. The next thing we have here is Johnson's Prepared Wax. It's still around today, I believe, okay? So that's SC Johnson out of Racine, Wisconsin, and it's been around forever, I think. And you're looking at an advertisement again, and it shows a bottle of the liquid prepared wax there, and some text on there. Again, this is interesting stuff. Your car is judged by its finish. If the finish is kept in good condition, your friends think you have a dandy car. But if it is allowed to get dull and grimy, it gives the impression of an old boat, no matter how good the car may be mechanically. So it's kind of interesting there, some of the stuff. And Johnson's had all kinds of products. They still have all kinds of products for cars, for houses, for everything. They have cleaner here, and I don't know, they got paste wax, all sorts of stuff here. Just a lot of interesting stuff here. They said that was absolutely dust proof. It gives a hard, dry, glass-like polish which does not collect or hold the dust. It preserves the varnish and protects it from the weather, adding years to its life and beauty. It covers up mars and scratches, prevents checking and cracking, sheds water. And you have to remember that the vehicles back then, the paint didn't really last that long, and it would get bad pretty quick within a couple of years, I understand. And if it was a colored paint like blue or green, it would even go quicker. And I think that was until the 30s with that Duco stuff.
Yeah,
and that
colors
kind of revolutionized. Yeah. So the paint we got on most of our vehicles here is, you know, it's already been painted new. So that's Johnson's cleaner here, and we're going to take another little cut in the action here, and Kendra's going to be talking about some other interesting things associated with Johnson, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's it.
So, Dan, if I'm correct, you were sort of inspired to do this topic because you were listening to Fibber McGee and Molly.
That helped in my inspiration, yes.
And they were sponsored by SC Johnson.
Correct.
Now, as anybody who knows me can tell you, I love this stuff. The pop culture, TV, radio, that stuff, I love it. So when he mentioned that, I had to go further into it. And now you're going to be subject to me nerding out about this. And really, Dan has nobody to blame but himself because you knew this is what I do.
Actually, it was kind of neat though when we sort of thought, hey, we can talk about Fibber McGee and Molly because, you know, I'm kind of a fan of these people too.
Yeah.
So.
And I really honestly didn't know too much about them. Mm-hmm. I'd only heard bits and pieces. I've listened a lot, you know.
So who are they?
Well, first of all.
Since I asked. Oh, I'm sorry.
First of all, it wasn't actually the Fibber McGee and Molly show. That's how we're come to know it. And I'm just going to play, you know, the internet is a wonderful thing. How many of these things you can find online. And this is actually off YouTube. And now, obviously, since it's a radio show, there's no moving picture. But
No.
we have audio. And that's Fibber McGee and Molly. This is the beginning of the show.
Johnson's Wax program with Fibber McGee and Molly.
Okay.
So
Typical
it was
30s, 40s sound to it.
exactly live audience.
Wax and Johnson's self-polishing glow coat presents Fibber McGee and Molly.
Maybe
with Bill Thompson,
1948.
Neil Gordon, Arthur Q. Bryan, B. Benaderet, and me, Harlow Wilcox. The script is by Don Quinn and Phil Leslie. Music by the King's Men and Billy Mills Orchestra.
Yeah, they filmed this live,
Mm-hmm.
which I think it must have been neat to see them do
Oh,
it live.
absolutely,
We were
yes.
talking about that before.
Brighter. It's brighter than ever. Better than any. That's the news about the self-polishing floor wax 1949 glow coat. In kitchens from coast to coast, women are finding out that 1949 glow coat gives them 3 major improvements. First, you now get almost twice the shine on your linoleum. Twice the shine you used to get. That new glow and glow coat is a brighter glow, and you get it without rubbing or buffing. Second, it's a longer wearing glow. Actually, the fine wax luster of your linoleum lasts almost twice as long because 1949 glow coat covers the surface with a tougher finish. Third, glow coat is easier to apply. It spreads more uniformly. In addition, glow coat now goes farther. Ask your dealer for the 1949 glow coat. It's longer wearing, easier to apply.
I think they ought to sponsor the museum.
They
Glow
should.
Coat's got a new glow that makes it brighter than ever, better than any.
And I love that ask your dealer. Your
Yes.
dealer. You just go to the store, right? But
Right, right.
But anyway, so yeah, it was actually the Johnson Wax program. And their company headquarters, which I have to show you because the building is so cool, was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. And there's the exterior. It's a really neat building. And there's the interior, as you'll see on your screen. Typical, you know, Frank Lloyd Wright thing. I think that was built in 1939. But anyway, the company sponsored Fibber McGee and Molly's radio show from 1935 to 1950. And what's one of those neat things about the show, and you tipped me off to this, and I started to listen to them, every episode also had a commercial within it for some SC Johnson & Company product. And those commercials were a little different because they were put on by basically a pitchman, Harlow Wilcox. That was the guy who was announcing there in the beginning. And he also announced for the radio programs Blondie and Boston Blackie. Actually.
How about that?
Yeah. So he was,
Is that
Pretty
going to be
well
on?
known.
Is that going to be on the quiz?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There's his picture. I'll
Wow.
put that on the screen. That's good old Harlow Wilcox. And then there's another picture of him all the way to the right. He's announcing with Fibber McGee and Molly there at the microphone.
But what makes it interesting with that mid-show advertisement? Or were you going to just say that now?
Yeah, and I think why it's interesting is basically Harlow Wilcox made an appearance. Now it's a radio show, so
Right.
by appearance I mean he actually had a speaking role, and he was actually a character on the show. His name was Harlow Wilcox, although I guess sometimes Fibber would call him Waxy because
Yeah.
basically he would come on, insert himself into the action, and he was written into the script as this Johnson's obsessed, I don't know, loopy neighbor type that would just drop in the house. And
But it was part of the whole script of the show.
yeah, it didn't like interrupt the show like
No.
TV and
Right.
you know today or even most radio. You know,
And-
now you might have like the DJ read some script for a product, but this was actually part of the action.
And it was interesting to listen to because it
Yeah.
was comical. This was a comedy show, and it was quite interesting.
Yeah, and
It wasn't a time to do something else while the commercial's on. You want
right,
to listen to
it
it.
wasn't time to go get another sandwich. And trying to find here.
If anything, you
I,
wanted to go wax your kitchen floor.
That's right. And
I'm kidding.
the diner floor. We didn't make you wax the diner floor. But his only purpose on the show was to promote the sponsor. I mean, he really didn't have another character beat, really. And mostly they advertised Johnson's Wax, Johnson's Glow Coat, and Johnson's Car New. But this is one of those mid-show commercials. Now, I picked this episode simply because it was called The Abandoned Jalopy, and I was like, well, we have to listen to that. And basically, they have this, I think it's a 29 Ford. 29 Ford is parked in front of their house, and it's in terrible shape, and the tires are flat, and they're really angry. They don't know why this piece of junk is.
Okay.
But anyway, Harlow will walk in. Here he is.
Hi, pal. Hey, you got relatives visiting here?
No, Mr. Wilcox, the last relative we had visiting here was Uncle Dennis.
Remember Uncle Dennis, kid? Better known as Half Gainer Martini, the olive diver?
Now, McGee, don't pick on Uncle Dennis. After all, he has a heart of gold.
Well, he must have a nickel plate.
But Harlow's going to find a way to...
Why'd you ask? Did we have any visitors, Junior?
Well, I just thought if that old junk car out there belonged to somebody you know, I'd keep my mouth shut.
That was very tactful of you, Mr. Wilcox, but we don't know who left it there, and McGee has already put in a complaint to the city about it.
Somebody had a lot of nerve using the street in front of our house for a junkyard.
Oh, well, you know how some people are, pal. No feeling for appearances.
Yeah.
They don't keep up with things. I heard the other day of a woman in Pennsylvania who still uses an old-fashioned mop and scrub brush on her linoleum.
In Pennsylvania.
That's ridiculous.
Is that you?
It probably is me.
You're just making that up.
No, really, really. One of our salesmen in Pennsylvania is sending me photographs of this woman actually scrubbing her linoleum.
You mean she never heard of?
Apparently not.
Well,
And when our man showed her and her husband how to use Johnson's self-polishing glow coat with a new glow, and how easy it was, and how it dried in 20 minutes or less to a lovely protective gloss.
There's your
without any
commercial.
roughing or
Yeah.
bumping, you know what she did?
no.
She took the shotgun down off the deer antlers and shot him in the leg.
She shot a wax salesman? Why, that's a misdemeanor.
Yeah, it's at least disorderly misconduct.
No. She didn't shoot the salesman. She shot her husband.
Well, she'll have to learn to control those urges, and I speak as one who knows.
Well, why did she shoot her husband, Junior?
Because he'd always known about Johnson's self-polishing glow coat and had never told her about it. He was afraid if her housework was too easy, she'd have too much leisure to read the catalogs and get to wanting things.
Well, good for her. She got it coming.
Yeah. Then she sent her husband to the hospital, glow-coated her linoleum again, just for the fun of it, and spent the rest of the week ordering stuff out of the catalog with his $300 accident insurance. Well, I got to get along. Got to meet my cousin, Big Blowhard Wilcox.
Big Blowhard Wilcox. What does he do, Junior?
He's a glass blower. He's making me a 40-gallon aquarium.
Oh?
My guppies just had puppies.
See,
And there it goes.
that's an advertisement, and it had one-liners in there,
Yeah.
jokes, and
Yeah.
it was great. And just using the regular characters.
Sorry you told us, McGee.
I
And
don't know.
then-
Anything can happen in Pennsylvania.
I like this because anything can happen in
We're
Pennsylvania.
working in the shingle mill in Pennsylvania.
You and Milton who?
Spilk. Well, sir, one day Milt fell into the machinery and got sliced up pretty bad. Doctor said it was the worst case of shingles he ever saw.
What a horrible thing to joke about.
Yeah, but on the other hand, why cry over Milt Spilk? That's why, hey, where are you going?
Upstairs to open the window. Did you hear from the mayor?
I had to include that because anything can happen in Pennsylvania.
You know, we're sitting here laughing at this, and this is 1948 on it. So it's, you know, it's 67 years old, and we think it's funny. You know, I listen to these. I have, you know, I download podcasts on my phone. I listen while I walk and stuff. And so if anybody's driving down the street and they see somebody laughing, you know what I'm listening to.
Probably
so.
you listening to
Okay,
Fibber.
sorry. Continue.
Yeah, well then, again, Dan has no one to blame but himself because I had to go and look more about Fibber, McGee, and Molly because that's what I do. But they're really very interesting too. They met in church as kids. They both were involved with their church, and that's how they met. Their real names were Marion and Jim Jordan.
Right.
They really were married in real life, and actually, this I thought was really interesting. Now the show ran from 35 to 50, but from November 1937 to April 1939, Marion, or Molly, wasn't on the show. She took an extended leave of absence, actually to fight her alcoholism, which the press called fatigue at the time.
How about that?
Yeah. This is what's kind of cool. Now, during this time, Fibber would sign off every night by saying, "Good night, Molly." And believe it or not, the FCC made him stop doing this because they said it violated the rule that you could not use public airwaves to send private messages. Which I thought was so strange. Now, a few weeks later, they backed off on that and they let him do it again because Molly is the character's name, not his wife's.
Oh, clever.
So
Yes.
He continued doing that until she signed off. And they had some other women come on and sort of pinch hit, I guess you could say, for her while she was gone. Including Zazu Pitts, who
Right.
was from the silent era. She was in a lot of silent movies. She's a very interesting looking woman, just not a conventional looking woman, but apparently she was very funny. I've only seen her in silent stuff. And actually, one of our audience members will in the diner here will know I've talked about this movie before. She was in Greed, which is one of my favorites. And she was in that. She's just an interesting woman. But I have to mention some other characters because, again, as Dan knows, this is what I do, and I have to make connections to classic TV. And there are a lot of actors on there that I had to mention. One of them being Isabel Randolph, and that's her picture on the screen from the show. And she was the snooty Mrs. Abigail Uppington.
Oh, Uppy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great name for a snooty person, Uppington. But I knew her. One of her last roles was as Rob Petrie's mother on the Dick Van Dyke
Wow.
Show. Yeah.
Of all shows.
Dan and I talk about Dick Van Dyke Show a lot, or Rob Petrie a lot. Another regular on there was Gail Gordon, who was Mayor Latrivia, which is also a great name. There's his photo. Now, I'm sure a lot of people recognize him. He's Mr. Wilson on Dennis the Menace.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's also Mr. Mooney on
Exactly.
the Lucille Ball Show.
And on I Love Lucy, he was on a few episodes as Mr. Littlefield, who owned the Tropicana Club before. See, Dan's laughing, but this is what I do. But wait, this gets better. Now, he was a very good friend of Lucille Ball's. They were good friends in real life. And she wanted him to be Fred Mertz. He was her
Okay.
original choice. And he didn't do it because he was on, I think, Our Miss Brooks.
Okay.
He was on that show instead. Then the last person I got to mention is Mrs. Millicent Carstairs, who was played by Bea Benaderet.
She was in this when I heard her
Yep.
get introduced.
Yeah, she's got a great voice. I think she was Betty Rubble, too, actually, on the Flintstones.
Really?
I think so.
But what was she most famous for?
She was on one of my favorites. She was Kate Bradley on Petticoat Junction.
Right.
Which is one of my personal favorites. And then she'll also be on a few episodes of Green Acres. And she was on
She was the
Beverly
neighbor.
Hillbillies, too, a little bit.
She's also the next door neighbor of George Burns and Gracie Allen.
It's funny you should mention that, Dan, because Bea Benaderet was also a good friend of Lucille Ball's, and she was Lucille Ball's first choice to play Ethel
Really?
Mertz.
How about that?
But she was on Burns and Allen
Okay.
instead. So the two original choices for Fred and Ethel were on Fibber, McGee, and Molly, but that was not meant to be. They went on
How about
did
that?
other things. And I think that maybe, the last thing I had was, it's funny because, this show, as I said earlier, was not called Fibber, McGee, and Molly. It was the Johnson Wax program, which seems like kind of an odd name maybe. But that actually was not uncommon. They had a lot of TV and radio shows that were named after the sponsor. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people know them as maybe something else. But even in TV up to the the 50s and 60s, they were doing this with Kraft Television Theater and it was one of the ones, Westinghouse Studio One, the Pat Boone Chevy Showroom.
Okay.
So that was not an
Milton
uncommon
Berle
practice.
show was not known as Milton Berle.
That's right. I sent.
Yes. Which is great.
I sent Dan a link. What was that show? Texaco Star Theater.
Yes.
And there was this. We got to do that. I'm going to show that in another show. The singing Texaco servicemen.
Yes.
So, but yeah. So that was the black hole that I fell into with Fibber, McGee, and Molly, and it's all Dan's fault that I just drove you all crazy at home.
So, okay.
Wait till next month. I'll do F Troop.
We'll figure out a connection somewhere.
Okay, we'll do it.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yes. Geez, I think, are we about ready to check on our...
I think we
brass, maybe?
might be. Yeah.
So we might have to go out there and put it back on.
Yeah.
See how far we got.
Okay. Okay. Before we talk about the brass on the car and see what Matt has done so far, one last cleaning product that I came across, and I came across this a little while ago, and it was something called Silver Quick, and it's by the Atlas Auto Supply Company out of West Lake Street, Chicago. Okay, and it talks about hide your car's age behind silver finish trimmings. That brass trim car of yours will pass as a latest model if you change the old-fashioned brass trimmings to silver. Huh? What do you think, Matt? After all that polishing. Okay.
I'll protect you from flying objects in that direction.
Okay, and some quotes here from the company. It says, get away from that cheap brassy look. Make your car look up to date as any 1913 model, all right? There's nothing marks a car like old model quicker or surer than brass lamps and brass trimmings. All the recent models have silver trimmings. If you have an old car, bring it up to date. You can do it in a few minutes with very little effort with a can of Silver Quick. Okay? Again, brass was old technology. Now you go to a show, and I mean, that brass really shines. That's what we're accomplishing here too. That's what Matt's doing all the time. And it's kind of interesting. Back then, you wanted the latest up-to-date thing, but my, has times changed, huh?
I love it because I'm just trying to imagine those cars with silver instead of brass. That wouldn't look up to date.
And I also have found products where it's like a black paint, and they're telling you to put it on the brass too to cover it up.
Oh.
So.
Matt's over there crying.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt. So, okay, we can go
right.
back. We'll go back out to the Middleby again.
Let's do that.
Yes, we're back here at the Middleby, our 1909 Middleby, and the whole time we've been taping this show, Matt's been busily polishing the bottom half of this acetylene generator, and so he's ready to put it back on, and I asked him to put it back on because he's wearing gloves. We don't want to get the oils from your skin on it. So, Matt, if you'll put it back on, and you can look at it, and we've taped for quite a while. The show's an hour long on your TV, but we've spent more time than that taping. And so Matt's been busily at it the whole time, laughing at our sick jokes. But you can see a great difference from what he's done to where it hasn't been done yet. The thing is, if you can see it on TV, there's still splotches here. So this isn't done. So it shows how much work actually it takes to get these nice.
And that's probably one of the easiest things you can polish.
Because
it's all smooth.
Right.
And it's nice big surface, and it still takes some time to do properly. So it's a big job.
So if you volunteer, request to do that. So,
yeah. You get to hang out with Matt and polish. I mean, come on.
So Anyway, so that's it. We're showing you how much work. That's just for the brass polishing. We also dust cars. We clean upholstery. We do all sorts of things.
Oh, the upholstery is a whole other beast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if I can get that one product that will take care of stains out of the roofs of cars.
Man, we'd be set.
Oh yeah. So, or put just dark colored roofs on all the cars. So,
Yeah. But you know what? The dark sometimes is the worst
Yeah.
to show
okay.
dirt
Okay.
and fingerprints
So,
and all that.
so we're just about done here, right? And you
think
probably
so.
have a couple little things you say, but I have something I want to read
Yeah.
before we do that. And if you watched this show a few months ago, I can't remember how long, we talked about driving in bad weather and keeping your windshield clean. And the key is, Kendra and I did the thing about water or rain-resistant windows and all that, and we tried the onion and all that. And
Homemade remedies.
yeah. I came across this. This is a magazine called Automobile Topics, November 23rd, 1912. All right? It says, Judge is rough on windshield user. It says, windshields are a shield motorist from, windshields are to shield motorists from wind and not from rain. This is on the authority of a Washington judge, Pugh by name. One Parrott, by surname Robert, so it would be Robert Parrott, was brought before him charged with colliding with another car. The evidence developed that Parrott had been driving at night with his windshield up and that it was raining. Judge Pugh promptly decided Parrott guilty of criminal negligence. Motorists should be willing to take a few drops to avoid accidents, said the judge. No man can see through the glass of a windshield at night if it gets wet. I drive a car myself and know whereof I speak. Windshields are to shield the wind and not the rain. How about that? So I think we've progressed a little bit since 1912. But you know, you think these cars, okay, both these cars don't even have windshields, but we have a lot of cars here that do have windshields you can put down fairly easy. So that was just something I came across. I wanted to share it with our viewers here. So
cool.
Back to you.
Yeah, well, actually, I think that's about it for our show this month. But just a reminder, the museum is open Tuesdays through Sundays, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And please come on by and see all this stuff in person. It's even better in person.
Yep.
And if
Diner Day.
Yeah, Diner Day is coming up, April 11th. I almost said February 11th. Dear
yeah.
Lord, no, we're in April now.
Yeah,
April
finally.
11th, Saturday. Come and get your great pie and coffee. And Dan, you'll be there too, right?
Absolutely.
You won't be a waitress, though.
No, I probably won't even get any pie again,
I'll
but
save
I'll
you
be
a
here
piece.
showing off
See,
our
now
cars.
you know a waitress, and I can work this
Yes,
for you. I'll save
okay,
you.
good.
But yeah, come out and see us that day. And also, please stop by 85 South Walnut Street and come visit, or visit our website, www.boyertownmuseum.org.
Okay, that's it.
See you next month.
Okay, thanks again, Matt, for helping out with the show, and everybody come in and see his handiwork.
That's right.